What the fuck is that? Alira looked at her partner and co-worker, a single eyebrow raised behind her gas mask. She was an elf, a tall and somewhat scrawny beauty. Craig, on the other hand, was a burly orc wearing no gas mask and only a yellow tank top that clung to his greenish-brown, muscle-bound torso. The body that prompted Alira's profanity was sprawled on the mahogany floor of the apartment in the larger building, which the police department had already evacuated, with no face. I have no idea. Doesn't look like one of us. Alira began looking around the room. The body was mangled beyond all recognition. No face, no name. The slightly demeated front of its skull was bare. Sure, the PD's artist could probably recreate a face out of that, but the artist wasn't part of the first response unit. Craig pulled out a notebook from the back pocket of his jeans and began making notes, while Alira knelt by the body and inspected it. This thing is smaller than me, but not as bulky as you. Could be a Frigg?
No chance. Friggs aren't pale.
Then maybe a Gartin. It's obviously a male, fits the profile.
Garen's bones are more porous. Look at this thing's skull. I think its bones might be denser than mine.
Alira gently touched the body with a gloved hand, moving his head to the side. The body had fallen face up, the somewhat long hair covering the sides of its face. It was soaked with dried blood, deep crimson. Alira reeled. Iron blood! This thing's an iron blood! Give me new gloves! Craig struggled to find a new pair, while Alira quickly removed hers and put on a new pair. If only one drop of that blood got on her skin, it'd feel like an acid. Not a particularly strong one, but an acid nonetheless. When her gloves were changed, Craig took over, moved the hair away from where the body's ear was supposed to be. But it had been cut off. The other one was there, a rounded lobe, unlike Alira's knife-like ears, or Craig's slightly spiky ones.
There's little blood around the body. Probably wasn't killed here. Let's just call the morticians.
10 minutes later, 2 men came up with a gurney and a sack. They laid the gurney down and reached to grab the body. Alira watched as the men strained to pick the body up. Once, twice, but it wouldn't budge.
It's too heavy,
said one of the men. Craig, lend a hand? The burly orc grinned and leaned down. That was going to be easy. So easy. He reached to grab the dead body from under his armpits and pulled it up. Or tried to. His muscles strained, and the other 2 morticians tried to pull it up, but it just didn't work. It wouldn't budge.
What the fuck is this thing?
Craig almost shouted. He could easily pull up weights as big as Alira in the PD's gym, but a single whatever the fuck it was wasn't going to beat him. He strained again, and moved the body closer to the gurney. Even if we put him on this thing, we won't be able to carry him down 7 flights of stairs, Alira said with a sigh. That won't be necessary. Craig looked confused at Alira, and Alira looked back at him. Then both gazed at the entrance to the room. The morticians were too busy packing their things up and preparing to head back down to their vans to get different equipment for this job. I can get him. The one who spoke from the door frame was lithe and scrawny, tall and wearing a gas mask. She slowly reached up to put it down, revealing identical features to Alira. It was as if staring in the mirror. The only difference was the hair colour. Mirror Alira's was blue, while Alira's was blonde. I was hoping, honestly, that the first response unit would be slower. Didn't quite want to work with myself, but it's as good as anything else.
Look, miss, Craig began. This is an investigation, and if you try to obstruct it in any way, we'll have to arrest you.
Mirror Alira put up her hands. Fine, Craig, fine.
You know my name?
Alira shot daggers at Craig. Of course she does, dummy. She's me. Mirror Alira grinned. Listen, I was given freedom by command to handle this as I see fit, and that's what I plan to do, considering it's a first contact situation for your side. And I know that half of what I just said is nonsensical to you, but hear me out first. Now even the morticians were attentive, looking at Mirror Alira with their gurney folded, and the sack abandoned on the floor. You take that body to the morgue and you make his necropsy. The report shouldn't be seen by anyone. The moment the necropsy is finished, the body should burn. The reason is very simple. You don't have that race here.
What race? What does here mean?
Craig asked, a hand suddenly reaching for his gun holster. Mirror Alira gestured around. I mean here, on your planet, in this world, in this alternative. And him? Alira asked, pointing at the body abandoned. That is named a human. It has blood with a high concentration of iron, an impressive strength relative to body mass, a body filled with enough bacteria to turn an entire gnome city into a quarantine zone. He was a friend. 2 days later, Alira and Mirror Alira sat in a cafe in another city, where both of them knew no one could know them. No one would wonder why two elven twin sisters were enjoying lattes in a cozy place while the snow fell on the streets. So, let me get this straight, began Alira. There is an almost infinite number of alternatives that people could potentially access where things have gone just a bit differently, and ours doesn't have humans? Correct. And there are at least 7 known alternatives in which only humans exist. Alternative Command was created by humans specifically to slow their spread in some alternatives. It's not easy living side by side with a human. I don't get it. Why would their race create an institution tasked specifically with keeping their race out of other people's affairs? There is a reason, but I'm not authorized to tell you. However, let me put it like this. We elves are pretty, and by our very nature, we feel sick if we have to kill. Sick enough that, rather than go through with that, we will not. In all alternatives I've visited, there wasn't a single elf killer. Sure, we might steal, we might lie, yada yada, but never kill. Orcs are strong. They have a solution-oriented thinking. They see an obstacle as an obstacle and make sure they can overcome it. Everywhere they are like that. Humans, on the other hand, can kill, can lack empathy, can do science, are capable of acts of great good and great evil. Don't get me wrong, Alira. If you want, we could easily make sure none of you four even remember what the body looked like. But the point is, sooner or later, your alternative will meet humans. Command would prefer you prepared for that eventuality. Alira looked in her latte and sighed. All her life, since she was just a young, starry-eyed girl, she had wished to work in the PD. This was above her pay grade, and above her qualifications. Is this how you recruit people into your line of work? Mirror Alira grinned and nodded. Yep, kinda. Well, I'm in.